Hello, thank you for joining me in this second video having to do with prophecy found in Isaiah relating to the nation of Israel in the end days. I just want to do a quick recap of what I talked about in the last video. I showed how the passages in Isaiah in chapters 1, 2, and 3 talk about what the nation of Israel is going to be like in the final days. It showed that there would be corruption in the government, that there would be women leaders, women ruling over Israel, that there would be young leaders, boys it calls them, that it would be a time of like Sodom, so homosexuality would be rampant. Talked about a falling away from God, that there would be an acceptance of Eastern practices. It talked about deals being made with pagans, alliances with pagans. And so now in this video, I'm going to talk about how these things have come to pass, how they have come to pass recently and are taking place today. And therefore showing that we are in the end days, not just the end days, but the end hours. And that we need to prepare ourselves for what is coming. So I'd like to begin by just talking about the relationship of Israel with God and what people believe now in Israel. I have, and I'm going to supply the information in the sidebar, but this is an article found in a Israeli newspaper. It states that of 417 graduating officers, only 18.4% of them considered themselves religious. That's less than 20% consider themselves religious. Also in 2005, the latest stats of the world's statistics regarding atheism and agnostic. Israel was listed as 19th as having the greatest population with a atheist and agnostic base. It states that somewhere between 15 and 37% of Israel is either atheist or agnostic. So there is this falling away from God in the nation of Israel. Also in 2006, World Pride was held in Jerusalem. So this goes to show the acceptance of homosexuality in Israel and how it is openly accepted, as talked about in the passage in Isaiah. Also in 2006, the Knesset, which is the legislative part of the government, elected for the first time a female speaker. Also in 2006, a woman was sworn in as president of the Supreme Court. So we see that women are taking these powerful positions in government. Women are ruling Israel. Now going back to 1969 to 1974, the nation of Israel had a woman prime minister. Her name was Golda Meir. She was one of only 3 women in the world who was head of the nation, head of a state. So it began back then, but only in 2006 did all of these things actually start coming together. Also in 2006 we saw the election of 2 young men to the government. One man was age 29, the other 33. They were the 2 youngest men ever elected as politicians in the nation of Israel. So 2006 saw these 3 significant things. It saw these young men being elected, saw women coming into positions of power for the first time, and it saw World Pride being celebrated in Jerusalem. So we see all that's happening from the book of Isaiah is coming to pass. Now also, in 1996, Benjamin Netanyahu, I know I'm butchering his last name, but he became the youngest politician to be elected Israeli prime minister. So we have this the youngest politician becoming prime minister. And then throughout his his terms, he was fraught with investigations. That in 2000, police recommended that he be indicted for fraud, bribery, breach of trust, and obstruction of justice, but charges were never filed. There was also investigations by police into foul play regarding appointment of a would-be attorney general. And then in 1997, a year after, or less than a year after being made prime minister, he signed over the majority of control in the West Bank city of Hebron to the Palestinian Authority. So we see that we had the youngest prime minister making a deal with pagans and giving away part of Israel to the Palestinians. So all of these things mentioned in Isaiah have come to pass. Much of it coming to pass in just the year 2006. Israel has fallen away from God, turned their back on God. They are not religious. They are living and believing that they are doing things under their own power. Their pride has built them up. There is corruption within the government. And according to a 2005 stat, 1 in 3 children are living in poverty in Israel. So we have this corruption going on, and the children are not being looked after. 1 in 3 living in poverty. So I want to get back to the year 2006 and its significance. I mentioned in another video of mine having to do with hidden Bible prophecy. I mentioned that the final beast, the final Antichrist, comes into being approximately February 2007. And the reason I state that is because the hidden prophecy shows us that the beast comes into being when the world's population, the weight of man on the world, will reach 6,660,000,000 people. And approximately February 2007, that's what happened. The world's population reached 6,660,000,000. And this coincides exactly with what is happening with Israel. For what is happening in Israel, this turning away from God and all these prophecies coming to pass, have ushered in the beast. And he is with us today, growing in power. Those who support him are growing in power and creating everything in the world that will be needed when he steps into power in approximately 2 to 2.5 decades from now. So we need to be aware of what's going on and what's going on around us. We need to be aware of what's happening in Israel, and the prophecies are coming to pass. The beast is with us, and he is growing in power every day. And so we need to make sure that we have turned away from sins, and that we are living for Christ. For that day is coming soon. It will soon be upon us. Okay, as always, I look forward to comments. If you are interested, or you have an interest in prophecy, I'd really be interested in hearing what you have to say. Until next time, peace and blessings.